If you want to fish Lake Kabetogama, the Wooden Frog Campground is a great place to stay, but it's not for everybody. I'll explain why. My name's Randy, you're watching Go Midwest Fishing. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. I really like the Wooden Frog Campground, but it is a primitive campground, so not everyone's going to like it. If you have a big RV, there are no sewer, water, electric hookups, and even though it will accommodate most large RVs, a lot of these sites are too small to even fit them in. There are quite a few that will, but there are no pull-through sites. So if your RV is like 30 feet or longer, you're going to have a hard time parking it in here. Now this campground is surrounded by other resorts that are much fancier and nicer. If you prefer to go that route, you can do that. They do have drinking water piped throughout the campground, so you can always go take a bucket or something and go fill up some water if you need it. And did I mention the mosquitoes? We are in a very wooded area, so the mosquitoes are, well, in the daytime they're not as bad as I thought, but as soon as the sun goes down, whew, they get pretty bad. You're going to want to be inside. Now as far as bathrooms go, they have 6 vault style toilets around here, which I got one not too far from my left and my right, so it wasn't that far of a walk to need to go to one, but just be advised there are no fancy like showers and bathrooms here. It's just the pit style toilets. So if you do have a RV with a toilet in it, that'd be the way to go here. Alright, this campground has 61 campsites, and like I said, we are kind of in the middle of nowhere. It is surrounded by trees, forest. It's just a gorgeous place, and this is one of the most beautiful campgrounds I've stayed at. Just the rocky edges here, and some of the campsites are kind of right on the edge of these rocky hills, and said you're just surrounded by trees, and the campsites are actually spread out, so you're not you can see our campsite right behind me. You can't see anyone to our left or to our right. You pretty much, you get a lot of privacy here, which I really like. The drive in here is really pretty too. Just be advised, there are a lot of deer on the roads. If you try to leave the campground around say 5-6 o'clock at night, right before dark anyway, there are so many deer on the road that I even had one that would just like run out in front of me and like wouldn't let me pass him. He just kept running down the road. It was pretty funny. But yeah, just drive slow when you come near the campground because you will see deer. The one other thing that I didn't really like about this campground is the garbage. They really don't have any place to dump garbage. There is one dumpster that is completely overflowing and full of flies. It is nasty. But I don't know if it's just because the COVID-19 is going on right now, that if they're just not emptying it or what, but it is like overflowing, and there was like garbage all over the road, and the campground host was out there picking it up and stuff, but it was a pretty ugly sight. Alright, so we're in site number 50, and it was big enough to fit. We have 2 vehicles, a boat, and a 15-foot RV. So we'll take a look at our campsite, and then we'll go take a little walk around the campground and show you some options to have around here and what the campsites actually look like. So here's our campsite, and see, just coming on a gravel road. We're on the kind of the outer ring where there's less campsites and they're kind of spaced more apart. But we were able to find one where we could pull both our trucks. Got our boat, and then a 15-foot camper here, which fit in here nicely. And each site comes with a picnic table and a fire ring. And it's kind of muddy back here, but it worked. And they have a little trail in the back of this one that goes out into kind of a clearing back there and a big rock cliff. Let's go take a quick look. So I'm not sure what is back here, but I've seen a few people like walk their dogs and everything coming back here. There's kind of a road through the woods, goes down a hill to another open field area. So I don't know if this is part of the hiking trail, but they do have little hiking trails kind of spread throughout here, which you can take a walk on. Said you might want to bring some mosquito dope though if you do. All right, now we're just going to take a walk around the loop here of the campground, and I'll show you a few of the sites. So here is campsite number 49. We almost took this one, but then we found 50 right next to it. It was a little nicer. Have a nice long campsite. Let's see, let's keep going around the loop and show you some pretty cool sites down here. And just so you know, 8 people, 2 shelters, and 2 vehicles. That's what's allowed in each shelter. And on this outer loop here, you can walk quite a ways without even coming upon a campsite. They're pretty far spaced. This is a really cool site. Somebody's in it now, but backs up against this kind of rock ledge here. Alright, this is, I think, number 47. This guy got a 5th wheel and a boat in this site. He's been in here for over a week. And if I didn't mention, this is a first come, first serve campground. So you're not guaranteed a site if you get here. We got here on a Sunday and it was wide open. Now it's Friday and it's getting pretty full. Right, here's site number 46, and this one's kind of short and wide, so you get all varieties here. And let's see, this one next to it, 45, looks like a pretty small one. You see, this would be a good tent site, but you wouldn't fit a whole lot in here. They do have a couple of these accessible sites, and they're just basically a lot wider and a little flatter, so easy to get into and out of. And here's an example of the vault toilets they have, which nothing special, but they're nice and clean and kind of what you'd expect to see at a state campground. Here's site number 41. This one kind of leans downhill quite a bit, but it's right on the edge of the lake there. You can see site 39, another one kind of small and pretty much bumpy, goes downhill, but it's on the edge of the lake. You see the lake in the background there. Here's site number 34. There are a lot of tent campers here too. Here's site number 33. See 32 right across from it's just a little short one. Site number 28 kind of goes in and curves around, so you're kind of back in the woods here. Kind of cool. Surrounded by tall trees. Here's one of the water fountains here. So you got, they actually work. Get one in the front and one on the back. That's all you get for water here. And there's another toilet. They seem to be spaced pretty good, so you don't have to walk too far to get to them. Alright, site number 24 has got to be one of the smallest ones, but it's butted up against some cool scenery here. You got a big kind of rock hill behind it. That's pretty cool. It'd be good for a little tent if you have it, but Oh, there's a big cave on here. I wonder if there's any animals in it. Number 23 right next to it's another one that's really short, but got some cool scenery behind it at least. Now there's an inner loop too, so we'll go explore that one. We first didn't even look at these, but they ended up turning up pretty nice. I didn't think there'd be very big spots up here, but they're pretty cool. They're kind of on a hill. You gotta go up a hill a ways. And okay, so this is site number 5, and they have this area you can park stuff like a boat or something, and then this is the actual campsite. So several campsites around here do this, where they kind of give you 2 sites in one, because this is kind of a really short campsite. You put a tent or something here, but then you got extra, kind of like a garage. You can park your car there. So here's another example, site number 6. You can park on the other side of the street, and then you camp on this side. There goes our maintenance guy. He makes several rounds a day. We see him quite a bit. All right, here's site number 9. Here's site number 10. These got a kind of wide openings to them. They're not real deep. And kind of just goes right down the hill to the lake from here. And this site is probably the biggest one here, and it's always occupied. You see they got all kinds of vehicles and stuff in it. Site number 12. That's the site to get if you can get it. It's really wide, easy to park in. They got 3 shelters up in 1 car. And it even comes with a place to park across the road from it. Alright, where the inner loop joins with the outer loop here, we got a little parking spot people have been using for their boats. Here's an example of a bigger RV that's in here, so they can fit. Site number 17 looks like a good one too. A lot of people here have boats, so you can see they're parked all over the place. Got a little parking area for them. So here's the entrance to the park, and this first site here says the host, but I haven't seen anyone in it yet. And then usually see someone in this spot number 1 here. No, there's no one right now, but it's kind of nice wide site. Alright, let's go take a look at the garbage area. So if you recycle cans, you can see they have 2 things here for cans, and a lot of beer drinking going on. And here's where you pay. Take the envelope out of the box and throw it in there. Just fill out an envelope. That's all you gotta do. And then here's all your instructions. It is $15 a night to stay here. So here is your garbage, if you dare to come near it. Said I don't know if they ever emptied this thing. It's been full since I've been here, but it is full of flies and smelly. Yum, like fish guts. Alright, let's get out of here. Go check out the boat landing. So as you're driving in, left is the campsites. Take a right and it takes you down to the boat landing. They have a couple of these overnight parking areas. I believe this is for the backpack sites, or they have some campsites on the islands out on Lake Kabetogama. So I think you park here and then you boat out and camp on those islands. Alright, coming down the hill to the boat landing, you can see right here is one of the it's the Arrowhead Lodge and Resort, like literally butted up against the Wooden Frog here. But the Wooden Frog does have its own dedicated boat landing, which is nice, and it's a pretty nice one. There's the dock down there and the launch, and lots of parking spots over here. If you've never fished Lake Kabetogama, I highly recommend it. It's an awesome lake. You should fish it at least once in your life. Very beautiful. A lot of walleye in here. And northern pike, got a bunch of those. There's like smallmouth bass, crappies, and the water's nice and clear. It's full of islands and all kinds of structure in this lake for fish to hide. Lots of places to fish. And cool thing is, the Wooden Frog is basically right out where some of the best fishing spots are. There's a bunch of islands out there people like to fish around. See, just beautiful scenery around here. Let's go up the hill and look at the beach area, and there's another cool thing up here I want to check out. Here's the Wooden Frog Refectory. I'm not sure what this was, so I had to read about it. Apparently it's the only dining concession facility built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. And let's go check that out. I haven't actually went and looked at it yet, so this will be kind of cool. It doesn't appear to be used at all anymore. Yeah, basically just a building on a hill. Not sure what they do with it other than just use it for historical purposes. Another water fountain up here. It's a little bigger than I thought. There's a fireplace in there. See if we can't peek in the window. Oh, can't see much. So here's another one of those little nature trails you can take a walk on. Alright, let's go check out the picnic area and beach. Alright, they got a nice bathroom down here. And then right down below the hill, there's the beach area. Not sure what this building is. Maybe it's for storage of stuff. But as you can see, it's I guess you can call it a beach. There ain't much to it. But since there are no showers here, if you want to get cleaned off, it might be the way to do it. There is another dumpster here at the boat launch area, so that's good to know. And remember how I talked about wildlife? Watch out for bears. Alright, going back around the loop here is site number 3. Again, the lake right in the background there. And then it's going to go down a pretty steep hill to a boat dock. There are 2 boat docks here for temporary use for the campers. If you just want to park and eat lunch and go back out, it's a good place to park. It's just a little U-shaped turnaround here for the boat dock. So we'll take a look at that. Alright, we're going to go back around the outer loop here again and show you the rest of the way. Site number 61 is a nice, long, easy one to park a large RV if you have one. Although, not the greatest view. If you look right across the road from it, it's like the parking lot out there and some chain link fence. Like I was saying, if you like your space, this outer loop, it's the place to be. It's less people are camping here, and there's less campsites. So good for privacy. Of course, down by the lake, they're a little more crowded and more people are camping there. Here's site number 58. This is kind of a cool one. Kind of shorter and wider, but it's got this little rock in the back that you can kind of climb up and over. Let's go take a little hike. Whoa. So you can see you can kind of see there's the road right down there. That's that center loop. But you kind of got these little trails through here you can kind of hike around in. Here you can kind of see right there's that campsite. Here's number 57, right next door. So they're spaced out pretty good, and you got the toilet right next to it. So you don't have to walk far, you'll find a toilet. Number 56, and right on the other side of the drive here is water. So site number 55, this one kind of leans downhill, so this wouldn't be a hard one to get an RV in. You'd be pretty crooked. Moving on. Alright, one of the coolest things about this campground, at least for me, usually you can't cut firewood from around the campground. You have to bring in your own. This is one of the few places that allows you to take wood off the ground. They just say no cutting of standing trees. So places like this, you can see the sign there, it says no cutting of standing trees, but they literally have places where they cut up logs and down trees into firewood sized chunks. We stole a bunch out of here already, so there was a lot more here. But you can take all this and burn it in your campsite. It's allowed. Site number 54. And right next to site 54, we got another water fountain, and they kind of clear these little paths so you can actually bring a car in here, and truck or whatever, and park and fill up some water jugs. Number 53. Looks like somebody's just pulling into this one here. Alright, here's site 51, and this just proves that if you want to get a large RV in here, you probably can. He's got a whole bus with a pontoon behind it and a car. Alright, let's take a look inside the bathroom just to show you. There you go. That's what you're dealing with. Simple but clean. And we're back to our campsite number 50. Now this is in the Voyageurs National Park. So I'd show you some drone footage, but it's not allowed in the national park. But overall, I really like this campground. And if you're going to fish Lake Kabetogama, it's probably the most economical way you can possibly do so at $15 a night. Otherwise, your other options are some of the resorts nearby here, which you can stay in cabins and stuff, and you know it's going to cost you a little more. But if you like to do it cheap like I do, you can stay at this campground, and it costs us $75 for 5 nights here. All right, I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Wooden Frog Campground. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.